tole barattoota qaqqaalii baga nagaan gara Aliyi Saayinsii YouTube channel nagaan dhuftanii har'a qormaata entraansii barnoota biology bara 2007 yookiin bara 2015 akka lakkoofsa biyya alaatti gaaflee dhibbaniifu deebii fi ibsa gahaa wajjin qormaata Ethiopian University bara 2007 barattootaaf kenname tutorialii partii guutuu afaan Oromootiin qabadhee isiniif dhiyaadhee jira. So our tutorial is on 2007 biology entrance exam question, 100 multiple choice question with answer and also with explanation full tutorial in Afan Oromo. This biology Ethiopian University entrance exam of 2007 tutorial in Afan Oromo. So don't forget hero video kana laltan wanti sin dagachuu qabne maalidha video kana like gochuu akkasuma Aliyi Saayinsii YouTube channel subscribe gochuun maatii Aliyi Saayinsii YouTube ta'uu dagatna. Gaa video kana like subscribe gochuun maatii Aliyi Saayinsii YouTube taatan wanta gadi lakkas hunde dafee waan isin bira qabuuf kanaaf video kana like subscribe gochuun maatii Aliyi Saayinsii YouTube ta'uu dagatna. Akkasuma yeroo video kana altan kana ilaaltan VPN yookiin saayifa yoo qabaatan banattanii yoo ilaaltanis bareeda. Maali fi video quality qabuu fi akkasuma internet saffisa qabu argachuudhaaf VPN waan is fayyaduuf VPN fayyadamtanii akka ilaaltan asumaan afeerraa kooti yerotan tutorial party tutorial qormaata entrance bara 2008 qabadhee dhufa. So let us see our tutorial on biology Ethiopian University entrance exam of 2007 one by one. So let us see. Educational Assessment and Examination Service or Ethiopian Secondary School Leaving Certificate Examination Biology Sane 2007 as Ethiopian calendar or June or July 2015 as Gregorian calendar. Number of items is 100. Time allowed is 2 hours. Subject code is 6. Booklet code is 36. Choose the best answer for the question from the given alternative. Gaaflee si dhiyaatanii filannoo si kenname keessaa deebii sirrii ta'e filachuudhaan deebisiidha. So let us see one by one. Question number 1. Which of the following unit of measurement is more convenient to express the size of cellular organelles? Unity safartuu armaan gadii keessaa hamma seelota safaruudhaaf kan nu gargaaru yookiin sirriitti filatamaa kan ta'e isa kam jedha? A meetir, B centimeter, C millimeter, D micrometer. So the answer should be D micrometer. Means that cellular organelles such as mitochondria, ribosomes and chloroplasts are extremely small structure. Their size typically ranges from 0.1 micrometer up to 10 micrometer. So micrometers is more convenient to express the size of cellular organelles because they are far too small for meters or centimeter. Meter is too large. It used for microscopic distance. Centimeter is still far too large for microscopic structure. Millimeter measures volume, not length. So the answer should be D. Question number 2. Which of the following step of scientific method comes before all the rest? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa tartiiba mala saayinsawaa keessaa hunda dura kan dhufu isa kam jedha? A. Hypothesis, B. Experiment, C. Conclusion, D. Reporting the result. So the answer should be A. Hypothesis. Means that hypothesis is a statement or prediction that guides the entire scientific investigation. So before any experiment can be designed or conducted, scientists must first propose hypothesis to explain an observation or question. So the steps of scientific method are: the first one is observation, then identifying problem or question, then formulate hypothesis, then conduct experiment, then analyze data, then draw conclusion, then communicate or reporting the result, and finally formulating scientific theory. So the answer should be A. Experiment is conducted only after forming a hypothesis. Conclusion is drawn from analyzing the result. Reporting result is drawn from after conclusion. So the answer should be A. Question number 3. What do we call a scientist who specializes in studying insects? Scientists waa'ee ilbiisota qorachuudhaan beekamu yookiin beekamtii qabu maal jennee yaamna jedha? A. An ecologist, B. A paleontologist. C. An entomologist. D. A microbiologist. So the answer should be C. An entomologist. Means that an entomologist is a biologist who specializes in studying of the insect, the largest and the most diverse group of animals on the earth. They study insect behavior, ecology, physiology, and their impact on human and also on the environment. Ecologists study ecosystem and their interaction. Paleontologists study about fossil. Microbiologists study about microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. So the answer should be C. Question number 4. To which one of the following organic molecules do enzymes belong? Organicota molecular mangadi keessa enzymonni isaan kam jalatti ramadamu jedha. A. Carbohydrate. B. Amino acid. C. Proteins. D. Lipid. So the answer should be C. Proteins. Means that enzymes are biological catalysts made up of proteins, so they speed up chemical reaction in living organisms by lowering activation energy. Their structure, made up of amino acid folding into a specific shape, allows them to bind substrate precisely. Carbohydrates are sugar and starch, not catalyst. Amino acid are building block of proteins, not enzymes themselves. Lipid, fat and oils are fat and oils, not catalytic molecules. So the answer should be C. Question number 5. Which of the following is coenzymes? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa coenzyme kan ta'e kam jedha? A. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. B. Carbohydrate. C. Water molecule. D. Protein. So the answer should be A. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide is a coenzyme involved in redox reaction. It carries electrons during cellular respiration and plays a crucial role in energy production. So coenzymes are organic molecules that assist enzymes in catalysis. Carbohydrates are energy source, not coenzyme. Water is inorganic compound, not coenzyme. And proteins are enzymes, not coenzyme. So the answer should be A. Question number 6. Which of the following behavioral biologist is known for his study about imprinting behavior in animals? Scientistoota armaan gadii amala bineeldota qoratan keessaa waa'ee imprintingii qorachuudhaan amala imprintingii qorachuudhaan saayintistiin beekame isa kam jedha? A. W. Kohler. B. B. F. Skinner. C. Ivan Pavlov. D. Konrad Lorenz. So the answer should be D. Konrad Lorenz. So Konrad Lorenz is discovered imprinting, a form of rapid learning in young animals where they follow the first moving object they see, often their mother. His famous experiment with geese demonstrated how early experience shape behavior. So the answer should be D. Kohler study insight learning in apes. Skinner study about operant conditioning, and Ivan Pavlov study about classical conditioning. So the answer should be D. Question number 7. Which tool of biologist is more frequently used to study cell structure in laboratory? Meeshaalee armaan gadi keessa biologistiin caasaalee seelii laboratory keessatti ilaaluudhaaf yookiin qorachuudhaaf baay'inaan kan itti fayyadamu isa kam jedha? A. Dissecting kit. B. Centrifuge. C. Petri dish. D. Microscope. So the answer should be D. Microscope. Means that cells are microscopic, so microscope is essential for observing their structure, organelles, and behavior. Light microscope and electron microscope allow scientists to observe or visualize detail far too small for naked eyes, such as cell membrane, nucleus, mitochondria, chloroplast, bacteria, and other microorganisms. So the answer should be D. Dissecting kit used for cutting and examining large specimen, not cell. Centrifuge used to separate cell component, but does not visualize them. Petri dish used for culturing microbes, not viewing cell structure. So the answer should be D. Question number 8. What color do gram-positive bacteria stain with gram stain? Gram-positive bacteria gram stain wajjin gaafa leessinu halluu akkamii kenna jedha? A. Red. B pink, C purple, D white. So the answer should be C purple. Means that gram-positive bacteria have thick peptidoglycan cell wall that retain the crystal violet dye during gram staining, causing them to appear purple under microscope. Gram-positive bacteriaan peptidoglycan cell wall yabbuu waan qabuuf crystal violet gaafa daballu pink colour kenna jechuudha. Gaaf kana pink colour gaafa microscope gaafa jalatti gaafa laallu pink colour nu kenna jechuudha. Akkasuma gram negative immoo red fi pink nu kennuu danda'a jechuudha. Red or pink nu kennuu danda'a after counter stain safari yoo dabalee jechuudha. So step kanneen illee beekuun isin barbaacha. Gram staining processin step basic ta'an kanneen kan of keessaa qabudha. Inni jalqaba fixed dha. Atta bacteria slide irratti attach gochuudha. Then crystal violet irra dabala, ergasi adding mordant grams iodine irra dabala, iodine treatment jechuudha. Then rapid decolorization with ethanol wajjin rapid decolorize goona. Yookiin acetone ta'uu danda'a, yookiin mixture of both illee ta'uu danda'a, kanneen fayyadamnee decolorize goona. Ergasi counter stain safarini wajjin counter stain goona. Then color inni jijjiiru laalla jechuudha. Step kanallee oduu qabattanii baay'ee bareeda. Question number 9. Which group of organisms in the ecosystem release nutrient locked up in the dead bodies of organism? Organismota armaan gadi keessa ecosystemii keessatti nutrient gadi lakkisu organismota du'an burkuteessuudhaan yookiin soorachuudhaan nutrient gara sirna kootti kan gadi lakkisu organismota isa kam jedhama? A. Parasite, B. Decomposers, C. Autotrophs, D. Carnivores. So the answer should be B. Decomposers. Means that decomposers such as bacteria and fungi break down dead organic matter, releasing nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus back into the ecosystem. This recycling is essential for soil fertility and ecosystem balance. So the answer should be B. Parasites feed on living hosts. Autotrophs produce their own food. Carnivores eat other animals, not dead matter. So the answer should be B. Question number 10. Which of the following are two major components of eukaryotic chromosomes? Kanneen armaan gadi keessa component gurguddoo eukaryotic microorganism kanneen ta'an isaan lamaan isa kam jedha? A. DNA and RNA, B. DNA and protein, C. DNA and carbohydrate, D. RNA and lipid. So the answer should be B. DNA and protein. Means that eukaryotic chromosomes consists of DNA wrapped around histone protein forming chromatin. So this structure allows DNA to be compacted and regulated during cell division and gene expression. So the answer should be B. DNA and RNA is not a major component of chromosomes, but DNA is component. DNA and carbohydrate is not part of chromosomes, but DNA is part of chromosomes. The RNA and lipid both are not part of chromosomes, so the answer should be B. Question number 11. Which of the following is consistent with the understanding of human evolution? Kanneen armaan gadi keessa hubannoo evolutionii dhala namaa kan cimsu yookiin kan deeggaru isa kam jedha? A. Bipedalism was never important in human evolution. B. Large brain size had no contribute to evolution of human species. C. Human ancestry had no relation whatsoever with that of chimpanzee. D. Fossil of Lucy and RD provide evidence for human origin. So the answer should be D. Fossil of Lucy and RD provide evidence for human origin. Means that Lucy, or known as Australopithecus afrinus, and Ardipithecus ramidas are early hominid fossils that showing bipedalism and other traits linking human to earlier ancestors. So they provide strong evidence for human evolutionary history. Bipedalism is one of the earliest and most important human evolutionary traits. Brain expansion is central to human evolution, enabling language, culture, tool use, and complex social behavior. Human and chimpanzee share common ancestors, so they are our closest living relatives genetically. So the answer should be D. So kan biraan asumaan wanti ilaaluu qabdan Australopithecus kabbada Itoophiyaa keessatti argama. Australopithecus ramidas ደግሞ innimmoo Itoophiyaa Keeniyaatti illee argama. Australopithecus amnesis Keeniyaa Itoophiyaa, Lucy Itoophiyaa Tanzania. Isaan kanneen sirriitti bal'inaan biyyoota isaa argama wajjin ilaala. Question number 12. Which group of animal has highest number of total and endemic species in Ethiopia? Garee bineeldota armaan gadi keessa lakkoofsaan baay'ee kan ta'anii fi endemic species sanyii adda ta'an yookiin biyya keenya qofa keessatti argaman baay'inaan akka of keessaa qaban garee isaan kam jedha? A. Amphibians, B. Birds, C. Mammals, D. Reptiles. So the answer should be B. Birds. Means that birds are the group with both highest total species count, which is about 860 greater more than, and highest number of endemic species in country. So Ethiopia is known for its rich species biodiversity with many endemic bird species. So the answer should be B. Amphibians lowest diverse species with 80 but high endemic species. Mammals high diversity species with 300 but fewer endemics. Reptiles moderate diversity with 240 with very few unique local species. So the answer should be B. Question number 13. What is the molecule that supplies the quickest and suitable source of energy to the cell? Moleculota armaan gadi keessa energy hatantaman seelota kan laatuu fi seelonni akka madda enerjiitti itti fayyadamuudhaaf baay'ee mijataa kan ta'e isa kam jedha? A. Lactose, B. Sucrose, C. ATP, D. Lipid. So the answer should be C. ATP. Means that ATP or adenosine triphosphate is the immediate energy currency of the cell, so it releases energy quickly when its phosphate bonds are broken, powering cellular process instantly. So the answer should be C. Lactose must be digested first. Sucrose also require breakdown into glucose and fructose. Lipid also long-term energy storage. It is slow release of energy. So the answer should be C. Question number 14. A carbohydrate compound is known to have 12 carbon atoms in whole molecule. What could this compound be? Carbohydrate compound in atomic carbon could alama qabu hunda molecule hunda keessatti compound in carbohydrate kun maal jedhamuun beekama jedha? A. A polypeptide, B. A disaccharide, C. A monosaccharide, D. A polysaccharide. So the answer should be B. A disaccharide. Means that most disaccharide like sucrose, lactose, maltose consists of two monosaccharide units, each typically containing 6 carbon, giving total of 12 carbons. Polypeptide is protein, not carbohydrate. Monosaccharide is usually 6 carbon. Polysaccharide is many repeating unit, far more than 12 carbons. So the answer should be B. Question number 15. Among the following organisms, which one belongs to prokaryotic? Organismota armaan gadi keessa prokaryotic jalatti kan ramadamu isa kam jedha? A. Paramecium, B. Streptococcus, C. Spirogyra, D. Tapeworm. So the answer should be B. Streptococcus. Means that Streptococcus is a bacterium, and the bacteria are prokaryotic organisms without nucleus or membrane-bound organelles. So the answer should be B. Paramecium is protista, which is eukaryotic. Spirogyra is algae, they are also eukaryotic. Tapeworm is animal, it is also eukaryotic. So the answer should be B. Streptococcus belongs to prokaryotic. Question number 16. Which one of the following crops has its center of origin and the diversity in Ethiopia has become leading international commodity of commerce? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa tokko sanyii midhaanii maddi isaanii Itoophiyaa ta'ee fi baay'inaan Itoophiyaan gurguruudhaan akka addunyaatti ittiin beekamtu isa kami jedha? A. Teef, B. Inset, C. Coffee, D. Anchote. So the answer should be C. Coffee. Means that Ethiopia is the center of origin and diversity for coffee. So it is one of the world's most valuable agricultural commodities and the major export crop globally. So the answer should be C. Teff is important locally, not global and dominant. Inset is also local stable. Anchote is also local timber, not international trader. So the answer should be C. Question number 17. Baby ostrich tend to follow the first moving object that they see as they hatch out of the egg. What kind of animal behavior does this demonstrate? Ilmoon guchii akkuma guchiin hanqaaquu keessaa falafaltee baafatteeni miila haadhaa ilaaluudhaan gara haati deemtu wajjin deemti. Amalli bineeldota akkanaa kun maal jedhamuun ibsama jedha? A. Phototaxis, B. Innate behavior, C. Photokinesis, D. Learned behavior. So the answer should be B. Innate behavior. Means that this is implementing an innate behavior where young animals follow attachment during critical early breed. So it is not learned through experience but genetically programmed. So it is innate behavior. So the answer should be B. Positive taxis is the movement toward the stimulus. Positive kinesis is random movement. It is have no direction. Learned behavior is imprinting is not learned. So the answer should be B. Question number 18. Which of the following true about mutations that occur in normal body cells? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa muteeshinii seelota qaamaa keessatti gaggeeffamu yookiin ta'u waa'ee isaa dhugaa kan ta'e kam jedha? A. They never lead to cancer cells. B. They never pass to the next generation. C. They never damage the affected cells. D. There is no way that they kill affected cells. So the answer should be B. They never pass to the next generation because they are somatic cell. Means that mutation in somatic or body cell affect only individual and are not inherited because they do not occur in reproductive cells or gamete. So the answer should be B. So many cancer can arise from somatic mutation. They can also damage cells that disrupt cell function. They are harmful mutation can also cause cell death. So the answer should be B. Question number 19. What is the process called when two bacteria directly contact cell to cell and exchange their genetic information? Adeemsi bacterial lamaan seelaa wal tuquudhaan genetic material isaanii walii qoodan yookiin walii dabarsan maal jedhamuun beekamadha? A. Conjugation, B. Transformation, C. Co-transformation, D. Transduction. So the answer should be A. Conjugation. Means that conjugation involves the transfer of genetic material or usually plasmid from one bacteria to another through pillars, allowing rapid spread of their threat-like antibiotic resistance. So the answer should be A. Transformation is uptake of free DNA from the environment. Co-transformation is uptake of linked DNA fragment. Transduction is DNA transfer via virus. So the answer should be A. Question number 20. Why is it that mutations are considered as one of the raw material for evolution? Mutation maalif akka mi'a evolutionit maalif ilaalama jedha? A. They contribute to new variation in organism. B. They are usually related to the environment in which they appear. C. They are most beneficial to organism in which they appear. D. They usually become cause of species extinction. So the answer should be A. They contribute to a new variation in organisms. Means that mutation introduce new genetic variation which natural selection acts upon. So without mutation, population would lack diversity needed for evolutionary change. So the answer should be A. Related environment is not always. So many are random. Most are neutral, not harmful. Neutral or harmful, not beneficial. Rarely may cause can be cause extinction, not usually cause extinction. So the answer should be A. Question number 21. Which of the following is formulated as a possible outcome of an experiment? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa outcome experimentii ibsuu kan danda'u yookiin lafa kaa'uu kan danda'u maal jedhamuun ibsamadha? A. Hypothesis. B. Prediction. C. Data analysis. D. Recording the data. So the answer should be B. Prediction. Means that prediction states what you expect to happen in the experiment if hypothesis is correct. It is a specific testable statement about expected outcome. So for example, if plants receive more sunlight, then they will grow taller. Prediction guide the design of experiment and help determine what data to collect. Hypothesis a general explanation, not expected outcome. Data analysis happen after data collection. Recording data also the step during experimentation, not before. So the answer should be B. Question number 22. If certain food stuff gave a positive result with Benedict test only after it was hydrolyzed with hydrochloric acid, which of the following substance could it be? Gareen soorataa tokko Benedict solution gaafa testi goonu positive test kan kennu erga hydrolyzed ta'e hydrochloric acid erga diigame booda yoo ta'e gareen soorata kana maal jedhama jedha? A. Non-reducing sugar. B. Nucleic acid. C. Lipid. D. Protein. So the answer should be A. Non-reducing sugar. Means that non-reducing sugar like sucrose do not react with Benedict solution. So unless they first hydrolyzed into their reducing monosaccharide by hydrochloric acid into glucose and fructose. So hydrochloric acid break down glycosidic bond and allowing Benedict test to turn break red. So the answer should be A. Nucleic acid is not detected by Benedict test. Lipid tested with Sudan-free or ethanol emulsion. Protein tested with burette reagent. So the answer should be A. Question number 23. In scientific method, what is the importance of a background research for given problem? Mala saayinsawaa keessatti dugduubee qorannichaa baruun maaliif nu barbaachisaa? Faayidaan isaa maali jedha? A. To formulate hypothesis. B. To make prediction. C. To prepare report of the result. D. To make conclusion. So the answer should be A. To formulate hypothesis. Means that background research helps scientists to understand what is already known about the problem. So this information is essential for forming logical, informed hypothesis. So without background knowledge, hypothesis would be guesswork. So the answer should be A. Making prediction comes after hypothesis. Prepare report is the final step. Making conclusion is after experiment. So the answer should be A. Question number 24. Which of the following is not true about mitochondria and chloroplast? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa waa'ee mitochondria fi chloroplast dhugaa kan hin taane kam jedha? A. Both contain chlorophyll. B. Both contain nucleic acid. C. Both have double membrane. D. Both transduce energy. So the answer should be A. Both contain chlorophyll is not true. Means that only chloroplast contain chlorophyll for photosynthesis. Mitochondria do not have chlorophyll. Both organelles do share similarities such as having their own DNA, double membrane, and both involved in energy conversion. So the answer should be A. Both contain nucleic acid means both have their own DNA. Both have double membrane. Both transduce energy means mitochondria produce ATP and chloroplast convert light energy into chemical energy. So the answer should be A. Question number 25. Which of the following molecule is not polymer? Kanneen armaan gadi keessa moleculiin polymerii hin taane, polymerii irraa hin tolfamne yookiin unity irra deddeebii irraa hin ijaaramne moleculii isa kam jedhama? A. Protein. B. Lipid. C. RNA. D. Starch. So the answer should be B. Lipid. Means that lipids are not polymers because they are not made up of repeating monomers unit. Protein, RNA, and starch are true polymers made up of amino acid, nucleotide, and glucose unit respectively. Means that protein is made up of polymer of amino acid, RNA is made up of polymer of nucleotide, and starch is made up of polymer of glucose. So the answer should be B. Question number 26. What does it mean when biologists express the cell membrane as a unit of membrane? Biologists in tokko yeroo cell membrane akka unit of membrane yeroo ibsu maal jechuu barbaadetti saayinsichi kun maal ibsee jedha? A. A cell is covered by single membrane. B. A membrane is only one lipid layer thick. C. All cells have essentially similar membrane. D. Membrane is covered by single layer of protein. So the answer should be C. All cells have essentially similar membrane. Means that the term unit membrane refers to universal structure of biological membranes, phospholipid bilayer with embedded protein. So this model applies to all cells and many organelles. So the answer should be C. Cells have many membranes: plasma membrane, nuclear membrane, mitochondrial membrane. This is not the unit membrane means. Mitochondria are bilayers, not single layer. Protein are embedded within or attached to the bilayer, not forming a single outer layer. So the answer should be C. Question number 27. Which of the following class of molecules cannot pass easily across the cell membrane by simple division? Moleculota armaan gadi keessa haaluma salphaadhaan plasma membrane yookiin cell membrane keessa simple division keessa darbuu kan hin dandeenye isa kam jedha? A. Small non-polar molecules. B. Lipid soluble molecules. C. Non-polar molecules. D. Polar molecules. So the answer should be D. Polar molecules. Means that polar molecules cannot easily cross the hydrophobic lipid bilayer because they are repelled by non-polar interior. So they require channel or transport protein. Small non-polar molecules can easily diffuse. Lipid soluble molecules also can easily pass readily, and non-polar molecules also move freely. So the answer should be D. Question number 28. Which of the following substance has a shape which is similar to that of substrate of an enzyme? Inhibitorota yookiin substance armaan gadi keessa shape substrate enzyme bind ta'uu danda'u wajjin wal fakkaata kan qabu inhibitor isa kam jedha? A. The reaction product. B. Competitive inhibitor. C. A cofactor. D. Allosteric inhibitor. So the answer should be B. A competitive inhibitor. Means that a competitive inhibitor resembles or similar to substrate and compete for enzyme active site. They block substrate from binding and slow reaction. Reaction product is different shape. Cofactor is assist enzyme, not similar to substrate. Allosteric inhibitors are bind elsewhere, not substrate-like. So the answer should be B. Question number 29. At which level of structural organization do protein have alpha helix and alpha helix shape? Protein caasaa isa kamirratti alpha helix shape kan qabaatu protein level isa kamirratti jedha? A. Primary structure. B. Secondary structure. C. Tertiary structure. D. Quaternary structure. So the answer should be B. Secondary structure. Means that alpha helix is the common secondary structure formed by hydrogen bonding between amino acid in polypeptide chain. Secondary structure includes alpha helix and beta sheets. So the answer should be B. Primary structure is amino acid linear sequence. Tertiary structure is 3-dimension folding of entire chain. Quaternary structure is multiple polypeptide chain. So the answer should be B. Question number 30. Among the following scientists who contributed to cell theory, identify the one who stated that cell arise only from another cell like it. Scientistoota armaan gadii keessaa cell theory gumaacha kan godhe akkasuma seelonni kan irraa dhufan seelota isaan dura jira irraa seelota isaan dura jira irraa seeliin biraa uumama kan jedhe scientistii isa kam jedha. A. Robert Hooke. B. Theodor Schwann. C. Matthias Schullenden. D. Rudolf Virchow. So the answer should be D. Rudolf Virchow. Means that Rudolf Virchow proposed that the idea is omnicellular, meaning every cell comes from another cell or pre-existing cell. So this was the major contribution to modern cell theory. Hooke is the first observed cell. Schwann is stated animals are made up of cell. Schullenden also stated plants are made up of cell. So the answer should be D. Question number 31. Which of the following mode of transport is usually by cell to move substance against their concentration gradient? Maloota transportationii seelonni qaama keessa substaansii faallaa gradientii geejjiban yookiin karaa xiqqaa jirurraa gara guddaatti ittiin geessan maloota armaan gadii keessaa transportii moodii isa kamiitiin jedha. A. Osmosis. B. Simple diffusion. B. Facilitated diffusion. D. Active transport. So the answer should be D. Active transport. Means that active transport uses energy or ATP to move molecules from low to high concentrations or against the gradient. So example include sodium potassium pump. So the answer should be D. Osmosis is passive. Simple diffusion is also passive. Facilitated diffusion is also passive with protein. So the answer should be D. Question number 32. Which of the following feature makes human T lymphocyte cell more vulnerable to HIV attack? It is the presence of A. Cell namni tokko dhalli namaa T lymphocyte cellin isaa maal waan qabuuf HIV'n haaluma salphaa HIV'n attack isa gochuu danda'a yookiin HIV isa qabuu danda'edha. Maal waan qabuuf jedha. A. Cell membrane. B. DNA on the chromosome. C. CD4 on membrane of the surface. D. Pores in the cell membrane. So the answer should be C. CD4 on the membrane surface. This makes HIV simply can attack T lymphocyte cell. Means that HIV is specifically bound to CD4 receptor on T helper cells. So this allows the virus to enter and infect the cell, weakening the immune system. Kanaafuu namni tokko HIV'n isa qabu kan danda'u T lymphocyte cellii isaarraa CD4 seelonni yoo jiraatanidha jechuudha. Namni tokko CD4 cellii hin qabu taanaan HIV'n isa qabu hin danda'u jechuudha. So HIV haala salphaadhaan CD4 cellii kana receptorii kanarra qabachuu bind gochuudhaan T helper cellii miidhuu danda'a jechuudha. Cell membrane, all cell have one. All cell have one. DNA, all cell have DNA. Pores not specific to HIV infection. So the answer should be C. Question number 33. Which one of the following terms refers to how fast enzyme acts on its substrate? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa enzyme saffisaan substrate irratti dalaguu kan ibsu termii isa kam jedha. A. Turnover number. B. Substrate number. C. Enzyme number. D. Product number. So the answer should be A. Turnover number. Means that turnover number is the number of substrate molecule and enzyme convert into product per second when fully saturated. So it is measured enzyme efficiency or speed. So kanaafuu enzyme turnover number in enzyme efficiency fi saffisa enzyme fi ga'umsa isaa safaruufis ni oola jechuudha. Substrate number is not real immunology term. Enzyme number is refers to quantity of enzyme, not speed. Product number is refers to amount of product formed, not the rate. So the answer should be A. Question number 34. Which of the following factor determines the rate at which organelle settle out of the cell homogenate if some in centrifuge? Kana armaan gadii keessa yeroo orgaanelota centrifuge keessa nadhee centrifugiin gaafa ofirra naanna'u wanti seelonni sun ittiin addaan baafnu yookiin orgaanelonni sun ittiin addaan ba'an maalidhaan jedha. A. Mass of the organelle. B. Function of organelle in the cell. C. Location of the organelle in the cell. D. Thickness of the membranes covering the organelle. So the answer should be A. Mass of the organelle. Kanaafu gaafa centrifugiin ofirra naanna'u akkaataa ulfaatina yookiin maasii isaaniitiin kun jalatti galee kun gubbaatti ba'aa jechuudha. So heavier organelles sediment faster during centrifugation. So this principle allows separation of nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes, and etc. Function has no effect on sedimentation. Location once homogenized, location is no longer matters. Membranes thickness does not significantly affect sedimentation rate. So the answer should be A. Question number 35. Which one of the following class of organic molecules is the least important source of energy for cellular respiration? Organic molecules armaan gadii keessa energy madda energy gadaanaa kan ta'e yookiin energy isanirraa baay'ee kan hin maddine adeemsa cellular respiration'itiin energy xiqqaa kan kennu yookiin immoo energy kiyyuu kennuu kan hin dandeenye organic molecules isa kam jedha? A. Nucleic acid. B. Lipid. C. Carbohydrate. D. Protein. So the answer should be A. Nucleic acid. Means that nucleic acid are not used for energy. They store genetic information. Carbohydrate, lipid are primary storage source, and proteins can be also used when necessary. So lipid is the major energy source, carbohydrate is the primary energy source, and protein is the secondary energy source. So the answer should be A. Question number 36. Which one of the following process has decreasing effect on the concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa adeemsa kamiin carbon dioxide in atmospheric keessa jiru concentration isaa kan gad xiqqeessuu danda'u isa kam jedha? A. Cellular respiration. B. Combustion of fossil fuels. C. Decomposition of dead organisms. D. Photosynthesis. So the answer should be D. Photosynthesis. Means that photosynthesis removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and converts it to glucose. Respiration release all listed process release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Means that respiration release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, combustion also release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, and the decomposition also release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. The only photosynthesis can remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and convert it into glucose. So the answer should be D. Question number 37. Which of the following is not true about instinctive behavior? Kanneen armaan gadi keessa waa'ee instinctive behavior dhugaa kan hin taane kam jedha? A. It can be developed further through learning. B. It is triggered by key stimulus. C. It has fixed action pattern. D. It is adaptive for the species. So the answer should be A. It can be developed further through learning is not true. Means that instinctive behavior is hardwired from birds, so they do not need practice, experience, or learning to develop. So instinctive behavior or innate behavior are genetically programmed, present at birth or shortly after, triggered by specific key stimulus, performed in the same way every time, or they are fixed action pattern, adaptive because they can help survival without need of learning. Because of they are inborn, they cannot be improved, modified, or developed further through learning. So the answer should be A. So option B, C, D are true about instinctive behavior. Only the false one is the false one is A. Question number 38. In which of the following ways do retrovirus differ from the RNA virus? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa waa'ee retrovirus dhugaa kan hin taane kam jedha? A. It can be developed further through learning. B. It is triggered by key stimulus. C. It has fixed action pattern. D. It is adaptive for the species. So the answer should be A. Question number 38. In which of the following ways do retrovirus differ from the RNA virus? Kana armaan gadii keessaa isa kamiin retrovirusiin RNA virusii irraa adda ta'a jedha. A. Their genetic material is DNA. B. Their genetic material is RNA. C. They copy RNA to DNA molecules. D. They copy RNA from DNA molecules. So the answer should be C. They copy RNA to DNA molecules. Means that retrovirus like HIV uses reverse transcriptase to convert their RNA genome into DNA, which integrate into the host genome. So this unique to retrovirus. So the answer should be C. Genetic material is DNA. They start with RNA. Genetic material is RNA. True for many virus, not unique. Copy RNA from DNA. This is reversed. They copy RNA to DNA. So the answer should be C. Question number 39. Which of the following group of microorganisms does not contain parasitic member? Garee microorganismota armaan gadi keessa parasitic yookiin maxxantu kanneen miidhaa fidan kan hin qabne garee isa kam jedha. A. Bacteria. B. Algae. C. Fungi. D. Protozoa. So the answer should be B. Algae. Means that algae are primary photosynthetic and do not include parasitic species. Bacteria, fungi, and protozoa all have parasitic member. So bacteria have many parasites, fungus have many parasites, fungus are there, protozoa also include malaria parasite. So the answer should be B. Question number 40. Which of the following notes the correct characteristics of tropical rainforest? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa amala tropical rainforest kan hin taane yookiin sirrii kan hin taane isa kam jedha. A. Low biodiversity. B. High temperature. C. Heavy precipitation. D. Tree of different height. So the answer should be A. Low biodiversity. Means that tropical rainforests have highest biodiversity, not lowest biodiversity on the earth. So they contain thousands of plant and animal species. So the answer should be A. High temperature, heavy precipitation, and tree of different height are all characteristics of a tropical rainforest. So low biodiversity is not the characteristics of tropical rainforest. So the answer should be A. Question number 41. From evolutionary point of view, which of the following animal is expected to have hemoglobin protein that is least similar to that of human? Akka evolutionary akka qabxii evolutionary yoo laallu kanneen armaan gadii keessaa bineensi hemoglobin protein isaa dhala namaarraa fagaatee argamu yookiin dhala namaatti kan hin dhiyaanne hemoglobin isaa dhala namaarraa fagaatee argamu yookiin kan dhala namaatiin sirriitti wal hin fakkaanne isa kam jedha. A. Ape. B. Cow. C. Chicken. D. Frog. So the answer should be D. Frog. Means that evolutionary similarity in protein like hemoglobin reflect how recently two species shared the common ancestor. So human are mammals. So mammals like apes, cow share more similar hemoglobin sequence. Birds or chicken also more distant, but amphibians like frog are even more distantly related, having diverged from human lineage hundreds of millions of years earlier. Therefore, their hemoglobin proteins show greatest difference. So frog is more the 100 years the greatest difference from the human. Apes close to human, very similar hemoglobin. Cow mammals still relative close to human are similar. Chickens more distant but not distant as frog. So the answer should be D. Asuma maal qabna hemoglobin kitaaba haraadha taala kanaan kaa'e human dhala namaa chimpanzee gorilla fi gibbonii kaa'eera. Gibboniin dhala namaarraa baay'ee fagaatee argama, distant irratti argama. Gorillaanis hamma tokko ni fagaata. Chimpanzee fi dhala namaa garuu baay'ee walitti hemoglobinii proteinii yoo laallu hundaanuu baay'ee walitti dhiyaata jechuudha. Question number 42. For what purpose do molecular biologists use technology known as polymerase chain reaction? Dhalli namaa molecular biologistiin technology polymerase chain reactionii faayidaa maaliif fayyadama jedha? A. To insert DNA into plasmid. B. To insert plasmid into bacteria. C. To multiply copy of DNA molecules. D to produce DNA from RNA. So the answer should be C, to multiply copy of DNA molecules. Means that polymerase reaction is a molecular technique used to amplify DNA, producing millions of identical copy from teeny sample. So it is essential in forensics, diagnostic, and cloning, and also genetic research. So the answer should be C. Inserting DNA into plasmid is done by ligation. Inserting plasmid into bacteria done by transformation. Producing DNA from RNA done by reverse transcriptase. So the answer should be C. Question number 43. What is the long-term primary effect of the current tree planting activity that Ethiopia is undertaking, or Ethiopia Green Legacy? Ethiopian yeroo dheeraadhaaf biqiloota dhaabuudhaan beekamti. Ammas itti fuftee dhaabuudhaan Green Legacy yookiin immoo activity of planting tree jedhamuudhaan beekamti. Kun faayidaan isaa maalidhaaf wanti Ethiopian biqiloota dhaabduuf maaliif jedha? A. It will protect from harmful solar rays. B. It will increase global temperature. C. It will reduce the atmospheric carbon dioxide. D. It will mend the holes in ozone layer. So the answer should be C. It will reduce atmospheric carbon dioxide. Means that tree absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. So the large-scale reforestation helps to reduce greenhouse gases, improving climate stability over the time. So the answer should be C. Protecting from the harmful rays, not the main effect. 3. Decrease global temperature, not increase global temperature. Mend the ozone layer is 3. Do not repair the ozone. So the answer should be C. Question number 44. Suppose when you first enter the room you notice unpleasant smell, which you eventually forget about it. It is present. What is this behavior called? Fakkeenya mana tokko yeroo seennu yookiin kilaasii tokko yeroo seennu foolii wayii nutti dhufa yoo ta'e, foolii wayii gara funyaan keenyaatti dhufa yoo ta'e, erga seennee booda foolii sun jiraachuyyuu ni dagan. Amalli akkanaa kun yookiin behavior akkanaa kun maal jedhamuun beekamaadha? A. Latent learning. B. Insight learning. C. Habituation. D. Operant learning. So the answer should be C. Habituation. Means that habituation is a form of learning where an organism stops responding to repeated harmless stimulus. So the answer should be C. This smell is still present, but brain stops paying attention to it. Garuu fooliin sun ni jira, sammuun keenya immoo deebii isaaf kennu ni dhaaba. Kun habiti godheera jechuudha, habituation jennaan jechuudha amala kanaatiin. Latent learning is learning without immediate reward. Insight learning is sudden problem solving. Operant learning is learning through consequence. So the answer should be C. Question number 45. Which of the following is an evolutionary requirement for two subpopulation of species to evolve in independent species? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa evolutionary dhaaf kan barbaachisu species lama addaan ba'anii kophaa akka guddataniif, kophaa akka baay'ataniif kan dandeessisu evolutionary requirement isa kam jedha? A. Free exchange of gene. B. Geographic isolation. C. Free migration between population. D. Absence of natural selection. So the answer should be B. Geographic isolation. Means that geographic isolation prevents gene flow between population. So over time, mutation and natural selection cause them to diverge genetically until they become separate species. So the answer should be B. Free exchange genes prevent speciation. Free migration prevent divergence, and absence of natural selection not required. So the answer should be B. Question number 46. What does restriction enzyme do? Restriction enzyme dalagaan isaa maal jedha? A. Restrict transcription. B. Cut DNA at a specific site. C. Prevent DNA from replicating. D. Hydrolyzes the DNA molecule. So the answer should be B. Cut DNA at a specific site. Means that restriction enzyme recognize a specific DNA sequence and cut them. They are essential tool in genetic engineering and DNA analysis. Restriction transcription is cut DNA, not regulate transcription. They simply cut DNA at a specific sequence they do not block replication. Hydrolyzed DNA to general many enzymes can hydrolyze DNA. Restriction enzyme cut at a specific site, not randomly. So the answer should be B. Question number 47. Which element is found in nucleic acid? Element armaan gadi keessa nucleic acid keessatti kan argamu isa kam jedha? A. Calcium, B. Iron, C. Magnesium, D. Phosphorus. So the answer should be D. Phosphorus. Means that nucleic acid, DNA and RNA contain phosphate backbone, making phosphorus essential to their structure. Calcium not part of nucleic acid. Iron is found in hemoglobin, not in DNA. Magnesium stabilizes ribosomes, not part of DNA structure. So the answer should be D. Question number 48. From where do plants get most their nutrient? Biqiltoonni nutrient yookiin soorata isaanii baay'inaan eessarraa argatu jedha. A. Chlorophyll, B. Soil, C. Light, D. Atmosphere. So the answer should be B. Soil. Means that plant absorb minerals like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium from the soil through their roots. These nutrients are essential for growth and metabolism. Chlorophyll is pigment, absorb light energy, not nutrient source. Light provide energy, not nutrient. Atmosphere provide carbon dioxide, not minerals. So the answer should be B. Question number 49. What do you call a group of genetically identical plants produced by vegetative reproduction? Biqiltoonni genetically wal fakkaatan vegetative reproduction kan oomishaman maal jennee yaamna jedha. A. Family, B. Clone, C. Hybrid, D. Genus. So the answer should be B. Clone. Means that vegetative reproduction produce offspring genetically identical to the parent. So such identical individuals are called clones. So the answer should be B. Family is not necessarily identical. Hybrid is offspring is genetically different parent. Genus taxonomic category. So the answer should be B. Question number 50. What is the base found in RNA in place of thymine in DNA? Base RNA keessatti argamu DNA keessatti thymine yoo ta'e RNA keessatti base isa bakka bu'u maal jedhama jedha. A. Cytosine, B. Guanine, C. Thymine, D. Uracil. So the answer should be D. Uracil. Means that RNA uses uracil in place of thymine in DNA. This is one of the key differences between DNA and RNA. Cytosine and guanine found in both. Thymine is only found in DNA. So the answer should be D. Question number 51. The most complex structure of protein is called. Caasaan protein baay'ee wal xaxaa ta'e maal jedhamuun beekamadha? A. Primary structure, B. Secondary structure, C. Tertiary structure, D. Quaternary structure. So the answer should be D. Quaternary structure. Means that quaternary structure involves multiple polypeptide chain interacting to form functional protein. Example, hemoglobin. Primary structure is amino acid sequence only. Secondary structure is alpha helix and beta sheet. Tertiary structure is 3-dimension folding one chain. So the answer should be D. Quaternary structure is the most complex protein structure. Question number 52. Which one of the following is the smallest of all? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa hundarra xiqqaa kan ta'e isa kam jedha? A. Red blood cell, B. A virus, C. A bacterium, D. An amoeba. So the answer should be B. A virus. Means that viruses are much smaller than cells, so they can be small as 20 to 300 nanometer, far smaller than bacteria, red blood cell, and amoeba. Red blood cell is 7 to 8 micrometers, so much larger than virus. Bacteria is 1 to 10 micrometers, still far larger than virus. Amoeba can exceed 100 micrometers, the largest of all listed. So the answer should be B. Question number 53. What is the ultimate source of all scientific knowledge? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa maddi cimaan beekumsa saayinsawaa hundaa kan ta'e kam jedha? A. Observation, B. Guessing, C. Trial and error, D. Observation and experimentation. So the answer should be D. Observation and experimentation. Means that science is based on observing natural phenomena and testing ideas through experiment. So this two process generate reliable knowledge, which is the basic or ultimate source of all scientific knowledge. So the answer should be D. Observation is only part of process. Guessing is not scientific. Theory and error is not systematic. So the answer should be D. Question number 54. The optimum temperature of enzyme found in thermophilic bacteria is. Optimum temperature in enzyme in thermophilic bacteria qabu akkamitti ibsamadha. A. Lower than enzyme in the human body. B. Higher than enzyme in the human body. C. The same as enzyme found in human body. D. Lower than enzyme found in warm-blooded animals. So the answer will be B. Higher than for enzyme in the human body. Means that thermophilic lives in very hot environment like hot spring and vents. Their enzyme function best at high temperature, often 60 to 80 degrees Celsius and or more. Thermophilic bacteria is not lower than enzyme in human body. It is also not the same as enzyme found in human body. It is also not lower than enzyme found in warm-blooded animals. So the answer should be B. Question number 55. A cow was found to yield much higher than any breeds of the parental cattle. What it could be most probably reason for this? A. Saani tokko erga diqaalom sine booda sanyiin inni bu'aan inni kennu kan parentii isaan dura jiru kan caalu yoo ta'e inni diqaalome isaan dura parentii isaan dura jiru kan caalu yoo ta'e sababni kun maaliif jenna? A. Dominant genes. B. Hybrid vigor. C. Recessive gene. D. Co-dominance gene. So the answer should be B. Hybrid vigor. Means that hybrid vigor is increased vigor or productivity of organism resulting from crossbreeding different varieties of the same species. Hybrid vigor or heterosis occurs when offspring outperform both parent in traits like growth, fertility, and milk production is higher than the parent. So the answer should be B. Dominant gene is not the reason. Recessive gene and the co-dominance all are not the reason. So the answer should be B. Question number 56. In the formation of macromolecules, what type of reaction would join two subunits together? Yeroo macromolecule uumamu unity lamaan kan walitti hidhu reaction maal jedhamutu unity subunity lamaan walitti hidha jedha. A. Hydrolysis reaction. B. Dehydration reaction. D. Denaturation reaction. D. Hydrophobic reaction. So the answer should be B. Dehydration reaction or dehydrogenation. So dehydration reaction or the condensation reaction remove water molecules to join monomers into polymers like protein, carbohydrate, and nucleic acid. So the answer should be B. Dehydration reaction or condensation reaction join two subunits together to form macromolecules. Hydrolysis breaks down polymers apart. Denaturation is unfolding protein, and hydrophobic reaction is not chemical reaction. So the answer should be B. Question number 57. Which are the four most abundant elements in the cell? Kan armaan gadi keessa elementoonni baay'inaan seelii lubbu qabiyyii keessatti argaman isa kam jedha? A. Carbon, oxygen, sulfur, phosphorus. B. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. C. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur. D. Carbon, oxygen, sulfur, magnesium. So the answer should be B. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen are the most four abundant elements in the living cell. Means that these four elements make up 95% of the mass of the living organisms and are essential components for biomolecules. Option A, C, D include sulfur and magnesium, which are less abundant. So the answer should be B. Question number 58. When the first generation hybrid of monohybrid crosses back cross with the homozygous recessive parent, what percentage of offspring would be homozygous recessive? A. first generation hybrid ta'e first generation fakkeenyaa fi capital A small a gaafa hybrid waliin goonu kan argannu capital A small a dha. Kanaafuu kana deebisnee recessive small a wajjin gaafa cross goonu isa hybrid ta'e san percentage homozygous recessive meeqa ta'edha? A 0%, B 25%, C 50%, D 75%. So the answer should be C 15%. Means that first generation in capital A small a gaafa cross waliin goonu capital A small a nukenna kana moo deebisnee gaafa is homozygous recessive wajjin gaafa cross goonu capital A small a crossed with small a which is recessive gaaf kana bu'aan nu argannu 50 capital A small a fi 50% recessive arganna kanaafu 50% homozygous recessive ta. So the answer should be C. The other 0%, 25 and 75% is incorrect. Question number 59. Which of the following is inorganic molecule? Kan armaan gadi keessa molecule inorganic ta'e kam jedha? A calcium carbonate, B methane, C carbon 6H12O11, C carbon 18H36O2. So the answer should be A calcium carbonate. Means that calcium carbonate is inorganic molecules generally lack carbon hydrogen bond. So calcium carbonate is mineral compound and inorganic. So the answer should be A. The other option A, methane, option C and option D are all organic organic compound. So the answer should be A. Question number 60. Which of the following expressions is more related to phase survival of the fittest? Kanneen armaan gadi keessa ibsi species takko survival of the fittest inni kan caala dandamachuu danda'u kan caala adapt gochuu danda'u jiraachuu danda'a jedhee kan ibsu expression isa kam jedham? A natural selection, B Mendelian inheritance, C gene mutation, D inheritance of acquired characteristics. So the answer should be A natural selection. Means that survival of the fittest describes natural selection, whereas individual best adapted to their environment survive and reproduce. Mendelian inheritance deals with gene transmission, gene mutation, source of variation, not selection. Inheritance of acquired trait is disproved theory, which is Lamarckism theory. So the answer should be A. Question number 61. What did Francisco Redi prove through his scientific experiment? Francisco Redi scientific experiment isaatiin maal mirkaneessa jedha? A. Maggot appears spontaneously on food placed anywhere. B. Maggot do not appear in food kept in jars that are protected with a cover. C. Maggot do not appear in food kept in open jars. C. Flies appear spontaneously on rotting meat that in closed or open jar alike. So the answer should be B. Maggot do not appear in food that's kept in jars that are protected with cover. Means that Francisco Redi experiment disprove spontaneous generation. Now Francisco Redi spontaneous generation sirri akkantani scientist mirkaneessedha. He showed that maggot only appeared on meat when flies could lay eggs on it. So covered jars prevented fly from accessing meat, so no maggot formed. So he disproved maggot appear spontaneously. Maggot do not appear in open jars, which is false. He disproved it. Flies appear spontaneously, also disproved by his experiment. So the answer should be B. Means that Francisco Redi experiment isaatiin qaruuraa qopheeffatee tokko banaa godhee foon keessa godhee tokko immoo qadaadee foon keessa godhee yeroodhaa turtii booda yoo laalu inni banaa ture suni ilbiisni hanqaaquu irra buusuudhaan irratti waliruudhaan isarraa ilmoolee yaa'uu argeera. Isa qadaada ture sana immoo homa tokko jijjiirama odoon finne ilbiisi tokko odoo keessatti wal horiin mirkaneessee ergasii erga tursiisee si walaalu qadaada isaatiin alatti ilbiisni yookiin tiksini irra walaruudhaan achirra qadaadaan alatti kan uumamu kan argee asirraa maal mirkaneesse wanti tokko qadaadne yookiin ilbiisni keessa toloruu hin dandeessu kanaafuu waan duwwaarra waan tokko irraa oduu seeliin tokko dura isaa hin jirre lafaa kaa'amee wanti haaromni hin uumamu spontaneous generation sirrii miti jechuudhaan mirkaneessee jechuudha. Question number 62. To which group of organic compound do triglyceride and waxes belong? Organic molecules gara kam keessatti triglyceride fi waxin kan ramadaman jedha. A. Carbohydrate, B. Protein, C. Lipid, D. Vitamin. So the answer should be C. Lipid. Means that triglyceride, fat and oils and waxes are lipid. They are a group of hydrophobic organic molecules made of mostly carbon and hydrogen. They function in long-term energy storage, insulation, waterproofing, and protection. Their non-polar nature makes them insoluble in water. Carbohydrates include sugar and starch, not fat. Protein made up of amino acid, not triglyceride and wax. Vitamin are micronutrient, not structural molecules. So the answer should be C. Question number 63. Which one of the following shows feeding method of decomposers? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa haala soorannaa burkuteessitoota kan ibsu mala isa kam jedha? A. Saprobiotic nutrition, C. B. Autotrophic nutrition, C. Parasitic nutrition, D. Intracellular digestion. So the answer should be A. Saprobiotic nutrition. Means that decomposers like fungi and bacteria feed by saprobiotic or saprophytic nutrition, secreting enzyme onto the dyed organic matter and absorbing the digested nutrient. Autotrophic are producers, they made their own food, not decomposers. Parasitic feed on living host. Intracellular digestion occurs inside the cell, not typical of the decomposers. So the answer should be A. Question number 64. What happens when carry capacity of ecosystem is reached? Carry capacity hamma ecosystem into baachuu danda'u baay'ina organismii achirra baay'atu hamma organismii ecosystem into baachuu danda'u kan ga'u yoo ta'e maaltu ta'a jedha. A. Existing product accumulate and population number increase. B. Population number decline rapidly. C. Population number remain more or less constant. D. Resources are plentiful and population shoot up. So the answer should be C. Population number remain more or less constant. Means that carry capacity is the maximum population size that available resource in an environment can support or sustain. When the size of population reaches carry capacity, population growth level off and or constant, and the birds and the days balance out, keeping population size stable or constant. So as marat mal alu qabna population in tokko hamma environment in yookiin sarna kun tokko baachuu danda'u baay'ina organismii kan ga'u yoo ta'e carry capacity kan ga'u yoo ta'e kanaafuu yeroo kana baay'ini ummata sanii dhaabbataa ta'a jechuudha. Maaliif achi bira darbee itti fufuu hin danda'u hamma environment in baatu sun qofa irra waan ga'eef jechuudha. So asuma wanti biraa wanti beekuu qabda maalidha? Exponential growth fi logistic growth beekuu qabda. Exponential growth happens when resources are limited. Exponential growth kan jiraatu baay'ina gudina ummataa kan itti fufee kan guddatu resourcin daangaa kan hin qabne kan jira unlimited kan ta'u yoo ta'e population itti fufee guddata. Logistic growth kan jedhu ammoo S shaped kan qabu yoo ta'u resourcin limited kan ta'u fi carry capacity irra kan ga'u yoo ta'e hamma environment sun baachuu kan danda'u yoo ta'e kan ga'u yoo ta'e kanaafuu yeroo kana guddin ummataa iddoo sanitti laafataa dhaabata constant ta'a jechuudha. Waste may accumulate, population cannot increase beyond carry capacity. Crash happen or decline happen if only resource collapse, not simply because of reaching carry capacity. Option D describe exponential phase, not carry capacity. So the answer should be C. Question number 65. In which industrial product is pyruvate fermentation by yeast practically applied? Industrial product kam keessatti pyruvate fermentation in yeastidhaan practically kan gaggeeffamu industry kam keessatti jedha. A. Brewing beer. B. Swiss cheese making. C. Production of vinegar. D. Yogurt making. So the answer should be A. Brewing beer. Means that yeast ferment ferment into ethanol and carbon dioxide, which is basis for beer and wine production. So the answer should be A. Amma sirratti alcohol fermentation kana sin gaafachuu danda'a, product isaa seerin gaafachuu danda'a. Gaafa parbeetiin glucose alcohol ferment gaafa goonu ATP lama oomisha, carbon dioxide lama fi alcohol yookiin ethanol lama kenna jechuudha. Akkasuma cheese production, vinegar and yogurt production bacteria fayyadamuudhaan kan oomishnuudha. Yeastiin fayyadamna jechuudha. Cheese production bacteria fayyadama, yeastii miti. Vinegar production acetic acid bacteria fayyadama, yogurtiin lactic acid bacteria fayyadama. Kanaafuu lactic acid fermentation qaama namaa keessattis ni gaggeeffama. Gaaf kana glucose gara parbeetitti yoo jijjiiramu intermediate odoo hin jirre kun naadachi fayyadamuudhaan gara lactic acid jijjiira jechuudha. Question number 66. If a substance that weighs 2000 grams and has half-life of 100 years is left with only 250 grams, how much long has radioactive decay activity have been undergone? Substance tokko ulfaatin isaa 2000 giraamii kan ture half-life waggaa dhibbaa keessatti gara 250 giraamitti kan gadi dhiqqaatu yoo ta'e radioactive decay kun waggaa meeqa dabarseera jedha. A 200, B 250 years, C 300 years, D 500 years. So the answer should be C 300 years. So half-life kana jalqaba 2,000 gaafa bakka lamatti qoonnu 1,000 ta'a. Half-life tokko almost 1,000 bakka lama gaafa qoonne 500 ta'a. Half-life lammaffaadha. 500 gaafa bakka lama qoonnu 250 ta'a. Half-life sadaffaadha jechuudha. Kanaafuu 3 half-life dha. Oggaa half-life sadii keessa jiraatera. 100 gaafa baay'ifnu 3 baay'isu 300 years ta'a jechuudha. So the answer should be C. The other options are not correct because 200 means only 2 half-lives. 250 is not multiple of the half-life. 500 too long. So the answer should be C. Question number 67. What does an etiologist study? Etiologist waa'ee maalii qoratara? A. Insect diet. B. soil type. C. fossil fuel. D. animal behavior. So the answer should be D. animal behavior. Means that etiology is the scientific study of animal behavior, especially under natural conditions. So the answer should be D. Insect diet studied by entomology. Soil type studied by soil science. Fossil fuels studied by geology. So the answer should be D. Question number 68. Which one of the following is a biotic factor operating within the ecosystem? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa biotic factory kan ta'e yookiin sirna koo keessatti factory lubbuu qabu kan ta'e isa kami jedha? Biotic factory jechuun isa lubbuu qabu jechuudha. A. The amount of helium gas in the air. B. The rate of flow of water in the river. C. The carnivores that consume other animals. D. The type of climate in a given region. So the answer should be C. The carnivores that consume other animals. Means that biotic factors are living components of ecosystem that influence the distribution of organisms in the environment. So carnivores influence population size and the food web. So the answer should be C. Abiotic factor also there. They are non-living components of ecosystem that influence the distributions of organisms in the environment. Example, abiotic factor include energy, light, temperature, water, nutrient, salinity, gas are abiotic factor. So the answer should be C. Helium gas is abiotic, water flow is also abiotic, and climate is also abiotic. So biotic factor is only the carnivores. So the answer should be C. Question number 69. When athletes take part in short distance running, how do athletes generate most energy that quickly needed? Athletics in tokko yeroo fiigicha fiigu seeliin enerjii hatattamaa oomishuudhaaf mala armaan gadii keessaa isa haala kamiin enerjii seelonni seelii hatattamaan argatu jedha. A. Aerobic respiration in muscle cell. B. Mitochondrial respiration in any cell. C. Anaerobic respiration in muscle cell. D. Yeast fermentation in the stomach. So the answer should be C. Anaerobic respiration in muscle cell. Means that during intense short burst of activity, oxygen supply is insufficient, so muscle switch to anaerobic respiration, producing ATP rapidly and forming lactic acid. Anaerobic respiration does not produce enough ATP to power the entire organisms, but can be used to supplement ATP level in tissue like muscles, where oxygen level may drop quickly. Kanafu athletics into gafa figu gafa oxygen supply isa oxygen itti hankatu energy argachuudhaaf muscle cellin ATP oomishuudhaan lactic acid qaama keessattuma namni sun gaafa fiigicha san fiigee xumure guyyaa tokko booda strap wanti isa qabuuf sababa lactic acidin yeroo ATP oomishamu gadi lakkifamuuf jechuudha. So the answer should be C. Aerobic respiration to slow. Mitochondrial respiration also require oxygen. Yeast fermentation does not occur in human cell. So the answer should be C. Question number 70. What do you call reason technique in science where general principles are used to analyze specific cases? Science mala science waa keessatti mala sababeessuu science waa keessatti general principle waliigalarraa specific yaada adda ta'e keessaa kan baasnu yoo ta'e malli kun yookiin haalli kun maal jedhama jedha. A. Induction. B. Deduction. C. Pseudo deduction. D. Pseudo induction. So the answer should be B. Deduction. Means that deductive reasoning applies general laws to predict a specific outcome. For example, all enzymes are proteins, therefore pepsin is a protein. So the answer should be B. Induction is opposite direction. Option C and D. Pseudo term, not scientific. So the answer should be B. An enzymatic catalyzed reaction remains constant even when more substrate is added to reaction. Which of the following may be reason? Enzymatic catalyzed reaction reaction enzyme CI tokko rating isa constant kan ta'u yoo ta'e in substrate illee itti dabalu rating isa kan hin daballe yoo ta'e sababni isaa maaliif jedha? A. Saturation of the enzyme. B. Inactivation of the enzyme. C. Inhibition of enzyme substrate complex formation. D. Loss of substrate specificity by the enzyme. So the answer should be A. Saturation of the enzyme. Means that when all enzyme active sites are occupied, the reaction reaches maximum velocity of Vmax. So adding more substrate cannot increase the rate. So the answer should be A. Inactivation would decrease the rate. Inhibition also would reduce the rate. Loss of specificity would disrupt the reaction. So the answer should be A. Question number 72. Which of the following will primarily happen if enzyme in lysosome of the cell are defective? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa jalqabarra enzyme lysosome keessatti argamu seelii keessatti argamu kan miidhamu yoo ta'e yookiin rakkoon irra ga'u yoo ta'e ma isaan armaan gadii keessa jalqaba kan ta'u isa kam jedha? A. Cellular diversity will not be removed. B. Chromosomes replication will cease or stop. C. ATP production will stop. D. Diffusion process will stop. So the answer should be A. Cellular diversity will not be removed. Means that lysosome acts as cell garbage disposal or recycle center. So they contain digestive enzyme responsible for breakdown waste material, cellular debris, and worn out organelles. So the answer should be C. Chromosome replication occur in nucleus, not in lysosome. ATP production occur in mitochondria, not lysosome. Diffusion is not affected. So the answer should be A. Question number 73. Which of the following is true about all proteins? Kana armaan gadi keessa waa'ee proteinota dhugaa kan ta'e Isa kam jedha? A. They are 20 amino acid long. B. They are globular in shape. C. They perform the same function. D. Their monomers are held together by peptide bonds. So the answer should be D. Their monomers are held together by peptide bonds. Means that all proteins are polymers of amino acid linked by peptide bonds. Their length, shape, and function may vary or may different. So the answer should be D. 20 amino acid long is length can be vary, not only 20. Global protein, some protein can be fibrous. Some the same all proteins are not the same function. Function may differ greatly. So the answer should be D. Question number 74. Which of the following property of water allow mosquito larvae to hang themselves drawn on into the water from the water surface? Amaloota bishaanii keessaa isa kamtu mosquitoon yookiin ammoo ilbiisonni garaagaraa bishaan irra akka deemaniif kan gargaaru amala bishaanii isa kam jedha? A. It has high specific heat capacity. B. It has high latent heat of vaporization. C. It has high surface tension. B. It low density in solid state. So the answer should be C. It high surface tension. Means that water strong surface tension due to hydrogen bonding create a skin that supports small organisms like mosquito larvae can work on it. High specific heat is important for temperature stability. High latent heat for evaporation. Low density of ice is for floating ice on water. So the answer should be C. Question number 75. Which of the following property of enzyme makes it is possible that single enzyme molecule can act on many substrate molecule? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa amala enzymiin tokko substrate baay'ee gara productiitti jijjiiruu amal inni qabu amala enzymiin maal waan ta'eef jedha. A. Enzyme are proteins. B. Enzyme lower the energy of activation. C. Enzyme are reused over and over again. D. Enzymes are substrate specific. So the answer should be C. Enzymes are reused over and over again. Means that enzymes are not consumed in the reaction. Means that after converting one substrate to product, they are free to bind another substrate and allowing repeated use. So the answer should be C. Binding proteins, it is not the reason. Lower activation energies helps for speeding the reaction, not the reuse. Specificity determines whether substrate, not how many. So the answer should be C. Question number 76. The T lymphocyte cell of AIDS patient are destroyed by. T lymphocyte cell dhukkuba AIDS qabu maalin barbadaa jedha? A. Multiplication of HIV inside the cell. B. Infection of opportunistic microorganisms. C. Immune system of the host organism itself. D. CD4 receptor on the cell of the surface. So the answer should be A. Multiplication of HIV inside the cell. Means that HIV infects CD4 T cells, replicates inside them and eventually bursts the cell and destroying them and also weakening the immunity. So the answer should be A. Opportunistic infection occurs after T cells are destroyed. Immune system does not destroy its own T cells in AIDS. CD4 receptors allow entry but do not kill the cell. So the answer should be A. Question number 77. Which stage in the life cycle of HIV is disrupted if AIDS patients are treated with drugs that has protease inhibiting activity? Stage HIV marsa HIV isa kamtu life cycle HIV isa kamtu yeroo dhukkubsatan HIV protease inhibiting activity irratti hojjetu protease dawaa protease kan fudhatu yoo ta'e stage HIV isa kamtu jeeqama jedha? A. Enter of the virus into the host cell. B. Conversion of viral RNA to DNA. C. Integration of viral DNA into the host DNA. D. Assembly of viral parties into the whole virus. So the answer should be D. Assembly of viral parties into the whole virus. Means that HIV protease cut viral polyproteins into functional parts, so inhibited new virus cannot assemble properly, so stopping infection spreading. So that should be D. Entry is blocked by fusion of inhibitors, RNA to DNA blocked by reverse transcriptase inhibitors, integration blocked by integrase inhibitors, so the answer should be D. Question number 78. Of the following 4 cells whose surface area to volume ratio is given, which cell can more efficiently transport its disease to material across cell surface? Surface area to volume ratio seelota afurii nuu kennamee jira. Isaan armaan gadii keessaa isa kamtu hunda caalaa more transport gochuu danda'a materially across cell surface keessa hunda caalaa kan transport gochuu danda'u isa kam jedha? A 24 to 8 ratio, B 54 to 27 ratio, C 96 to 64 ratio, D 150 to 125 ratio. So the answer should be A 24 to 8 ratio. Means that kana gaafa convert goone ilaallu surface area to volume ratio gaafa convert goone ilaallu 24 to 8 ratio yoo ilaallu sadii 50 gara 27 lama 96 gara 64 tokko tuqaa 5 50 gara 25 tokko tuqaa 2. So highest ratio isa sadiidha. So A irratti kan argamu jechuudha. Inni more efficient isa A irratti 24 to 8 ratio dha jechuudha. So the answer should be A. The other option B, C, D are less lower ratio, less efficient. So the answer should be A. Question number 79. Cells immediately use the energy that electron loss as they pass along the chain of electron carriers to. Cellonni energy hatantaman kan itti fayyadaman electronin gaafa loss ta'u gara electron carrier isa kamtu electroni loss ta'e itti darba jedha. A produce ATP, B pump protons, C spine the router of ATP synthesis, D reduce NAD. So the answer should be B proton pump. Means that an electron move down electron transport chain, their energy is used to pump protons across the membrane, creating gradient that later drive ATP synthesis. So the answer should be B. Produce ATPs happen later via ATP synthesis. Spine ATP synthesis driven by proton gradient. Reduce NAD is oxidized, not reduced. So the answer should be B. Question number 80. Which of the following happen in both cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation? Kan armaan gadi keessa cyclic fi non-cyclic lamaan photophosphorylation lamaan keessattuu kan ta'u isa kam jedha? A ATP is formed, B oxygen is generated, C NADP is reduced, D water molecule is split. So the answer should be A ATP is formed in both. Means that both pathways generate ATP using light reaction. Only non-cyclic phosphorylation produces NADH and oxygen. Amma ATP kan oomishu gamala productin gamala chittu kan oomishu ATP bichaadha. Cyclic ATP bicha oomisha. Non-cyclic ATP le oomisha. Reduced NADP le oxygen le oomisha jechuudha. Kanaafuu lamaan kan wal fakkeessu ATP oomishuudha jechuudha. Kan biraasatuma yoo ilaalle electron gubbaarra gadi yoo ilaalle pathway yoo ilaalle non-cyclic kun cyclicidha. First electron donorin non-cyclic keessatti bishaani, cyclic keessatti photosystem firstidha. Last electron acceptor dhumarratti electronic kan fudhatamu non-cyclic keessatti NADP-dha. Cyclic keessatti photosystem first isuma jechuudha. Product isaanii yoo ilaalle non-cyclic ATP reduced NADP oxygen ni oomisha. Cyclic garuu ATP bicha oomisha jechuudha. Photosystem keessatti hirmaatu yoo ilaalle non-cyclic keessatti photosystem 1 fi lachuyyuu photosystem 1 and 2 ni hirmaatu. Cyclic garuu photosystem 1 qofa fayyadamaa jechuudha. So oxygen generated in non-cyclic, NADP reduced also generated reduced in non-cyclic, water split only in non-cyclic. So the answer should be A. Question number 81. Which of the following is the route method used by clinics to test people for HIV infection? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa malli clinicsiin dhukkuba namoota dhukkuba HIV qaban test itti gochuudhaaf mala kamitti fayyadamuudhaan ruuti kamitti fayyadamuudhaan test gochuu danda'udha. A. Microscopic examination for the virus. B. Counting the number of white blood cells. T. Testing for human anti-HIV antibody. D. Measuring the amount of hemoglobin. So the answer should be C. Testing for human anti-HIV antibody. Means that the route method, it checks for specific proteins. The human immune system makes its response to the virus, which is highly accurate, fast, and inexpensive. Most HIV tests detect antibodies produced by immune system in response to HIV infection. So the answer should be C. Microscopy is HIV to small to C. White blood cell count is not specific. Hemoglobin is unrelated to HIV. So the answer should be C. Question number 82. Which of the following is not true about the nature of first form of organism on the earth? They were. Kanneen armaan gadii keessa organismota yeroo jalqabate lafa kanarratti uumaman niif dhugaa kan hin taane kami isaan immoo kamiidha. Kan hin taane isaan kun kamiidha. A. Prokaryotic. B. Unicellular. C. Aerobic. D. Anaerobic. So the answer should be C. Aerobic. Means that the first earliest organism on the earth were appeared 4 billion years ago were prokaryotics, unicellular, and anaerobic. So they had no nucleus. So the early atmosphere, the early atmosphere consisted methane, ammonia, water, and hydrogen gas. It lacked free oxygen, so aerobic respiration was impossible. Life began in environment where organisms rely on, depend on anaerobic metabolic pathway. So aerobic organisms is impossible to be found in early or first organism on the earth. So the answer should be C. Prokaryotic, their earliest life on the earth have no nucleus. Unicellular also true, their multicellularity evolved later. Anaerobic is also true, no oxygen was available in the early nature of the earth. So the answer should be C. Question number 83. The following are Simpson index of species diversity calculated for 4 area counting the same types of species. Which index value is from the area dominated relatively by fair number of species? Simpson index of species diversity area afurif calculate gaafa ta'u species isaanii wal fakkaataa yoo ta'e indexi value isa kamtu species muraasaan qabame jedha. A 8, B 6, C 3.5, D 2.5. So the answer should be D 2.5. Means that lower Simpson index means lower diversity, meaning few species dominate. So 2.5 is the lowest value, indicating the least even distribution. So the answer should be D. Option A, 8 is the highest diversity, 6 is also high diversity, and 3.5 is the moderate diversity. So the answer should be D. Question number 84. Suppose a fossil initially counts 100 atoms of the certain radioactive element whose half-life is 10,000 years. After how many years would it be the number of atoms is 12,500? A. Fossilin tokko jalqaba irratti atamii 100 radioactive isa elements half-life isaanii 10,000 ta'e waggaa meeqa booda atamiin gara 12,500tti waggaa meeqa booda ta'a jedha. A 10,000 years, B 20,000 years, C 13,000 years, D 14,000 years. So the answer should be C 13,000 years. Means that jalqaba rakkuma kudhan bakka lama gaafa qoonnu half life jalqaba irratti 50 ta'a. Half life jalqabaati. Ammas deebine kuma shantama gaafa half life isa laalu diddami kuma diddami shanta akkasuma kuma diddami shan gaafa half life isa laalu kuma 12,500 half life isa deemera kuma 12,500 irra gaheera kanaafu half life meeqa darbeera jechuudha half life sadii kanaafu half life sadii kuma 10 gaafa baay'ifnu kuma 30 ta'a jechuudha. So the answer should be C. 10,000 is only one half life, 20,000 is two half life, 40,000 is four half life. So the answer should be C. Question number 85. Which of the following is not true characteristics of population of most developing country in the world? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa amaloota biyyoota guddataa jiranii akka addunyaatti guddataa jiranii dhugaa kan hin taane kam jedha? A. High fertility rate. B. Increasing population size. C. More number of old people than young people. D. Birth rate greater than mortality rate. So the answer should be C. More number of older people than younger people is not the characteristics of developing country. Means that developing country typically have young population, high birth rate and rapid growth. Elderly population dominate developed nation. Kanaafuu biyyoonni guddatan namoota umriin ga'eessa ta'an jaarsotatu baay'ataa jechuudha. So asuma kanuma wal qabatee wanti isin beekuu qabdan there are three types of population pyramid. Population pyramid gosa sadii jira. Expansive, constrictive na stationary jira. Expansive kan jennuun jalli isaa bal'aa kan ta'e wider base narrow top many young and few elder biyyoota guddataa jiran biyyoota akka Keenyaa fakkeenya asirratti Keenyaa kaa'e Itoophiyaanis expansive population pyramid qabdi. Constrictive pyramid kan jennuun narrow base jalli isaa qal'aa gubbaan isaa kan bal'atu dargaggoonni muraasa namoonni ga'eessa ta'an yookiin jaarsoliin baay'ee kan ta'an constrictive population pyramid qabu. Inni sadaffaa stationary dha biyyoonni akka Itaalii kan qaban jechuudha. United States in constrictive qabdi population pyramid isi Italian ammoo stationary dha. Stationary pyramid balanced age group kanneen qabanidha jechuudha. So high fertility rate, increasing population size, birth rate greater than mortality rate in expansive population pyramid kan ibsudha or developing country kan ibsudha. Garuu namoonni jaarsoliin kan itti baay'atan ammoo constrictive ibsa yookiin biyyoota guddatan ibsa. So the answer should be C. Question number 86. Which of the following come first in the course of organic evolution? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa akka organic evolution itti jalqaba kan dhufu kam jedha? A. Photosynthetic organism. B. Free oxygen in the atmosphere. C. Land plants. D. Multicellular organisms. So the answer should be A. Photosynthetic organisms. Means that photosynthetic bacteria evolved early and began releasing oxygen, which later allowed to evolution of multicellular organisms and land plants. So the oldest photoautotrophs are cyanobacteria. They were largely responsible for increasing free oxygen in the atmosphere. So the answer should be A. Free oxygen is appeared after photosynthetic evolved. Land plants is much later. Multicellular organisms also evolved after oxygen increased. So the answer should be A. Question number 87. Choose the step that comes at least the last in scientific step. Kanneen armaan gadii keessa mala saayinsawaa irratti xumura irratti kan dhufu scientific step irratti scientific method keessatti step inni xumuraa isa kam jedha? A. Proposing research hypothesis. B. Formulation of scientific theory. C. Conducting experiment. D. Making prediction. So the answer should be B. Formulating scientific theory. Means that scientific theory is formed after repeating experiment and consistent result and also broad evidence. So observation, the first one is observation, then asking question, then researching background, then proposing hypothesis, then making prediction, then conducting experiment, then analyzing data, then drawing conclusion, then communicating the result, and finally formulating scientific theory. So formulating scientific theory is the final and the most comprehensive step. So the answer should be B. Hypothesis is the fourth step, experiment is the sixth, and prediction is the fifth Step B for experimentation. So the answer should be B. Question number 88. Which of the following is not true about carbon for plants such as teff or ergaro stress? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa waa'ee carbon for plantii kanneen akka xeefii dhugaa kan hin taane kami jedha. A. Carbon dioxide is harvested during night time. B. Bundle sheet cells contain chloroplast. C. Light dependent reaction occurs in mesophili cell. D. Chloroplast of bundle sheet cells like thylakoid. So the answer should be A. Carbon dioxide is harvested during night time. It's not true about carbon for plant. Means that carbon for plant is fixed carbon dioxide during the day using phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase. Nighttime carbon dioxide fixation occur in camp plant, not carbon for plant. So the answer should be A. Bundle sheet cell contain chloroplast. True about carbon for plant. Light reaction in mesophili. True for carbon plant. Bundle sheet chloroplast like banana. True for many carbon for plant. So the answer should be A. Question number 89. What is the reason that plants do not use nitrogen directly from the atmosphere? Biqiloonni nitrogenii atmosphere irraa kallattii maaliif hin fayyadamne jedha. A. Nitrogen concentration is low in the atmosphere. B. The molecular size of nitrogen is too large to pass through the stomata. C. Nitrogen can interplant only through root hairs. D. Plant lack necessary for a process to use elementary nitrogen. So the answer should be D. Plant lack necessary process to use elementary nitrogen in the atmosphere. Means that plants cannot break triple bond in the nitrogen gas. So they rely or depend on nitrogen fixing bacteria to convert the nitrogen into ammonia or nitrate. So the answer should be D. Low concentration is incorrect because nitrogen is about 78% in the air. Too large pass to stomata is incorrect. Only through the root is true, but not the reason. So the answer should be D. Question number 90. What does fermentation of glucose by yeast normally yield? Fermentation in glucose yeast an mal gadi lakkisa yookiin maal oomishadha yookiin bu'aan fermentation in glucose irraa yeroo yeast gaggeeffamu normally maal produce godha. A. Lactic acid, carbon dioxide and 2 ATP. B. Carbon dioxide, water and 36 ATP. C. Alcohol, carbon dioxide and 2 ATP. D. Alcohol, carbon dioxide and 36 ATP. So the answer should be C. Alcohol, carbon dioxide and 2 ATP. Means that yeast perform alcoholic fermentation producing ethanol, carbon dioxide and a small amount of ATP, which is 2 ATP per glucose. So the answer should be C. Means that lactic acid occurs in muscles, not in yeast. 36 ATP is only produced by aerobic respiration. Alcohol and 36 ATP is impossible by anaerobically. So the answer should be C. Asuman fakii kanas alcohol fermentation kun bu'aan isaa maali maalirraa oomishama akkasuma lactic acid fermentation kanas asuman laala. So the answer should be C. Question number 91. Which hormone promotes human sleepfulness in darkness and control the sleep-wake cycle? Hormoniin armaan gadii keessa namni yeroo dukkanaa'e akka rafuu fi yeroo rafee immoo akka ka'u marsaa kana akka eegu hormonii isa kam jedha. A. Insulin. B. Adrenaline. C. Melatonin. D. Thyroxine. So the answer should be C. Melatonin. Means that melatonin is hormone secreted by pineal gland in response to the darkness and regulate sleep-wake cycle. So the answer should be C. Insulin regulates blood glucose, not sleep. Adrenaline increase alertness, prepare body for action or fight or flight. Thyroxine control metabolism, not sleep regulation. So the answer should be C. Question number 92. Which two nitrogenous bases belong to purines? nitrogenous basin laman purine keessatti ramadaman isaan kam jedha. A adenine and thymine, B adenine and guanine, C guanine and cytosine, D thymine and uracil. So the answer should be B adenine and guanine. Means that adenine and guanine are purines which have double ring structure. And also we look at other option. Adenine and thymine is pyrimidine, adenine is purine, guanine and cytosine is pyrimidine, and the guanine is the purines, guanine is purines. Thymine and the uracil, both are pyrimidines. Thymine found in DNA and the uracil is found in RNA. So the answer should be B. Question number 93. Which of the following is true? Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa kamtu dhugaadha? A. Recessive alleles are only expressed in homozygote. B. Dominant alleles expressed only in heterozygous. C. Recessive alleles are expressed in heterozygote. D. Genetically modified organisms are never used in manufacturing medicine. So the answer should be A. Recessive alleles are only expressed in homozygote is true. So that should be A. Means that recessive allele appears only when both alleles are recessive, small. In heterozygote, dominant allele marks it. So the answer should be A. Dominant alleles are expressed in both heterozygous and homozygous dominant, not only heterozygote. Recessive alleles are not expressed in heterozygote because dominant allele marks them. Many vaccines like hepatitis B are produced using genetically modified organisms. So the answer should be A. Question number 94. Which of the following is functional group of fatty acid? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa functional group in fatty acid kan ta'e kam jedha? A keto group, B aldehyde group, C amino group, D carboxyl group. So the answer should be D carboxyl group. Means that all fatty acid contain carboxyl group at one end. This functional group gives fatty acid their acidic property. So the answer should be D. Keto group is found in some sugar, not in fatty acid. Aldo group is found in a common group, not in fatty acid. Amino group found in amino acid, not in fatty acid. So the answer should be D. Question number 95. Which of the following is an example of orientational innate behavior? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa fakkeenya orientational innate behavior kan ta'e kam jedha? A. Kindness in woody lice. B. Blinking of the eyes. C. Sudden withdrawal of limbs from the hot object. D. Nest building by weaver birds. So the answer should be A. Kinesis in the woody lice. Means that kinesis in the is an orientational innate behavior where an organism change its rate of movement in response to stimulus, example humidity or light, but not a specific direction. So woody lice slow down in moist area and deep and speed up in dry ones. So the answer should be A. Blinking the eye is the example of reflex action, not orientational behavior. Sudden withdrawal hand from hot object is also reflex, rapid and protective. Nest building by weaver birds is an example of instinctive behavior, not orientational. So the answer should be A. Question number 96. One of the following is true about bacteriophages that have lysogenic life cycle. Kanneen armaan gadii keessaa tokko waa'ee bacteriophage lysogenic life cycle qabu dhugaadha jedha. A. They are RNA virus. B. They integrate their nucleic acid into that of the host. C. They multiply in the host immediately after infection. D. Progeny virus are released by chronic release method. So the answer should be B. They integrate their nucleic acid into the that of the host. Means that lysogenic bacteriophage insert their DNA into the host bacterium chromosomes forming prophage. So the viral DNA is then replicated along with the host DNA without killing cell. So the answer should be B. Most lysogenic bacteria like lambdaphage are DNA virus, not RNA virus. Immediate multiplication happen in lytic cycle, not lysogenic cycle. Lysogenic phage do not use chronic release. They remain dormant until induced into the lytic cycle. So the answer should be B. Question number 97. In Pavlov experiment on the classical conditioning of dogs, what does the reaction of dogs to the sound of the bell represent? Ibn Pavlov classical conditioning yeroo experiment dalagu saree irratti yeroo dalagu sareen boodarra sagalee bilbilaatiif responsiin inni kennu maal jedhama jedha. A. The conditioned stimulus. B. The conditioned response. C. Unconditioned stimulus. D. Unconditioned response. So the answer should be B. The conditioned response. Means that after conditioning, the dog salivates in response to the bell, which originally had no meaning. This learned reaction is conditioned response. So the answer should be B. The bell itself is conditioned stimulus, not dog reaction. The unconditioned stimulus is the food, which is naturally causing the salivation. The unconditioned response is the dog naturally salivation to food, not the bell. So the answer should be B. Question number 98. What is the purpose of infolding of inner membrane of mitochondria? Mitochondrial case is inner membrane folded ta'uun isaa faayidaan isaa maali jedha? A. Increase the photosynthetic capacity of the cell. B. Speed up loss of carbon dioxide during fermentation. C. Speed up process of glycolysis. D. Increase the surface area for ATP production. So the answer should be D. Increase the surface area for ATP production. Means that the infolding called cristae greatly increase the inner membrane surface area. This allows more space for electron transport chain and ATP synthesis, boosting ATP production. Photosynthesis occur in chloroplast, not mitochondria. Fermentation happen in cytoplasm, not mitochondria, and the glycolysis also occurs in cytoplasm, not mitochondria. So the answer should be D. Question number 99. Which of the following is worthwhile biological problem for scientific investigation? Kanneen armaan gadii keessa biological problem scientifically investigate gochuudhaan kan raawwate isa kami jedha? Kan ibsu isa kami jedha? A. Estimation of amount of carbon in the forest ecosystem. B. Craying dog can tell who among elder village is going to be to die next. C. How switchcraft inflicts bad healthy by cursing healthy person. D. How traditional medicine men or women cure possessed person. So the answer should be A. Estimation of the amount of carbon in the forest ecosystem is biological problem investigation system. Means that estimation of the amount of carbon in the forest ecosystem is a scientific and measurable testable biological problem. It involves quantifying biomass carbon storage, which can be investigated using ecological method. So the answer should be A. Option B. Sarembo namadu gara fudurat telmama kajiru scientific miti. Aircraft illness scientific miti akasuma dara kajiru scientific miti. So the answer should be A. Question number 100. Which of the following biomass of Earth has greatest diversity of species? Biomass armangadi keessa lafara argaman kan armangadi keessa species heddu kan of keessa qabu isa kam jedha? A. Deciduous forest. B. Tropical rainforest. C. Desert. D. Tundra. So the answer should be B. Tropical rainforest. Means that tropical rainforests have highest diversity on the earth. Means they contain more species of plant, animal, fungi, microorganisms than other biomes due to warm temperature, high rainfall, and stable climate year round. Deciduous forest is moderate diverse, but not as less than tropical rainforest. Desert is very low biodiversity due to extreme dryness and temperature fluctuation. Tundra is one of the least diverse biome because extreme cold and short growing season. So the answer should be B. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment Aliyi Science YouTube channel. Video kana waan dhageeffataniif guddaa galatooma. Gar wanti sin dagachuun kan maladha. Warri video kana like hin godhan like gochuun akkasuma warri video kana subscribe hin godhin amuma Aliyi Science YouTube channel subscribe gochuun maatii Aliyi Science YouTube ta'uun dagatina. Akkasuma karaa Telegramii fi karaa social mediaatiin walii share gochuun dagatina. Hanga yeroo taanu tutorialii qormaata entrance bara 2008 qabadhee hanga dhufutti yeroo gaarii isin haa ta'u. If you have any question or suggestion or comment yoo yaada qabaat hanga video bara 2008 entrance exam bara 2008 qabadhee dhufutti yeroo gaarii isin haa ta'u. Gaafii yoo qabaattan yoo hin komii yoo qabaattan yoo yaada qabaattan karaa commentii naa barreessuun dagatina. Yeroo taanu tutorialii entrance bara 2008 qabadhee hanga dhufutti yeroo gaarii isin haa ta'u. Thank you. Welcome back again.